Hello. Welcome to my channel, and I'm going to read part 2 of chapter 2 of the Christmas series. Bobby there. Okay. Yep. Alright. Maggie had met Jack Andrews when she was 23. Her new 1974 Ford Escort, her pride and joy was making weird braking noises, so she took it into the city auto service. A girl she worked with in the bakery at Ferguson's supermarket recommended City Auto as an honest garage. A young man, wisping grease from his hair, came over into the shop. Maggie was immediately taken with his intensely blue eyes. She read the name stitched in his green overalls. Jack. A nice hard-looking name. "What can we do for you?" he asked, and then smiled the most genuine smile she had ever seen. Jack seldom took notice of people who came in to drop off their cars for repairs. When the slender Maggie stepped out of her escort truck, her dark, bobbled hair neatly behind her ears, and smiled. He was merely interested in more than just her car. "I think it's the brakes," she said. "I do," she says, 6 months later. When Nathan was born, Maggie cut her hours at Ferguson to part-time. She and Jack did not want to drop their kids at daycare for strangers to take care of them. If they couldn't rearrange their schedules so one of them could watch Nathan, they agreed that Maggie would quit working. It might mean that on a single income, they never live in a big house on Adams Hill or afford better furniture, but it was worth the sacrifice to know that their child was being raised by his parents. Nathan was 2 when Maggie and Jack moved into a small, aluminum-sized ranch house on 14th Street in the quiet neighborhood of older homes. The house needed some work. The roof leaked in what would be Nathan's bedroom. The subflooring was rotten where the sink leaked in the kitchen. There was termite damage in the foundation. The carpeting needed replacing throughout the entire house, and much of the plumbing was rusting and needed new copper pipes. The prospect of buying a home in such disrepair might have been daunting to other couples, but Jack was an all-around handyman, a true jack of all trades. Maggie called him, and she loved helping him. She could rip up floorboards and subflooring as good as any man, or hold a flashlight lying on his stomach under the kitchen sink for hours without complaining, as Jack twisted and yanked and smothered the pipe, as Jack twisted and yanked and smothered the pipes. She loved to watch Jack work, and working together on the house gave them hours of uninterrupted time together. Whereas other couples struggled to find something to talk about, Jack and Maggie never wanted for conversation. When friends wanted to go out after work, Jack went home, even though they teased him and told him he was getting soft. But if that was true, he didn't mind. He enjoyed being with Maggie more than anything else in the world. He loved to come home and find out what new improvements she'd made in the house, which gradually they had transformed from the shabbiest dwelling on the block to the nicest. The 2 large elm trees guarded the front of the house, and an oak and a maple stood in the back. Maggie thought they were the most beautiful trees that she had ever seen. All her life she wanted to live in a home surrounded by enormous shade trees. And now her dream had come true. She began tearing up the earth around the bases of her shade trees and prepared the soil for what would be a circle of tulips or daffodils. She dug up the soil by the tiny front porch and planted creeping filix by the sidewalk. The lifesters around the shrubs, daylilies between the shrubs, Shantae daisies and Victoria's flava near the house, and pansies to fill in the rest of the beds with splashes of purples, reds, and yellows. Each afternoon when Jack arrived home, she'd take him and Nathan by the hand and describe what flower she had planted where, and in which month it would bloom. When Maggie discovered she was pregnant a second time, Jack's eyes welded with tears. At such a moment, Maggie was humbled by the love she felt for her husband. What? It's okay. Overwhelmed. What? It's okay. That God had sent him to her. Maggie had gone back to, what? Come here if you want to be picked up. It's okay. Back to the bakery part-time. Once Nathan started kindergarten. But when that baby came, she would quit her job and stay home. Money would be tight, but she knew they could make it. Jack made a modest but honest living at City Auto Service, and he had already been there 5 years. He'd be up for another raise soon, and that would help. The owners of the City Auto were three brothers, Carl, Mike, and Ted Shaver. The shop was originally called Three Brothers until they decided to make it sound as if it was owned by the mafia. Then they changed the name to more respectably City Auto. It's okay. Yeah. Here you go. City Auto Service. Where is the they were a small operation with 2 full-time employees, Jack in the shop and Jeannie in the office, and one part-timer who worked at the garage on Saturdays. Mike ran the business end of the shop. He was always the first to claim that he couldn't charge a battery to save his life. And Carl and Ted both worked in the garage. The Schaefers were good, decent men to work for, and in his time there, Jack had learned more from them than he had in school. They provided insurance for the full-time employee, and every Christmas they'd give a butterball turkey and a $50 bonus. When Jack tossed and turned at night, worrying about money, Maggie always told him, "There's a difference between needs and wants, and we have everything we need." When Jack's spirit sagged, wishing his wife could shop at the department stores like other women instead of out yard sales at thrift shops, Maggie would hold his face in her hands and say, "It doesn't matter, Jack. None of it matters. We're healthy and we're happy. All that other stuff is just extra. Maybe one day we'll have it, but right now we don't need it." That was always enough to keep Jack going. Maggie reached his soul in a way no one else could. Years earlier, he'd probably live his life as a single man. Now, when he thought back to those days, he thanked God again and again for directing Maggie to City Auto Service. During her second pregnancy, Maggie often felt it was her belly. Her belly was bloated, but passed it off as the woes of pregnancy. After the smallest of meals, she felt terribly full. It was unlike her pregnancy. Ow! No. Sharp with Nathan when she craved everything in sight. After Rachel was born, Billy stopped. Stop it. Okay, you want boob? Here you go. I don't normally do this, but since I'm doing this thing. Alright, stop. Really, Bobby? Really? You're gonna stop? Where am I? It was so unlike pregnancy with Nathan when she craved everything in sight. After Rachel was born, Maggie noticed the discomfort again. Yes, disregarded it as a postpartum side effect. She mentioned her problem to the pediatrician to Rachel's 4-month follow-up visit. The doctor agreed it was probably associated with pregnancy, but suggested Maggie get it checked out. Another month went by before Maggie relented and made an appointment to see her gynecologist. She ran a series of tests and told her that he wanted to see her again in another 2 weeks to go over the results.